My wife and I had been married for 6 years when everything went down the drain. I have my own business, and I hired a marketing firm to help me. I scheduled a meeting, and I didn't know who was going to be showing up for it. I was sitting in my office, and one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen walked in. I knew right away that I needed to date her. I asked her out, but she told me that her company had a strict policy about dating clients. I asked her out a second time I saw her too. I figured if she said no again, I would leave it alone. She did, so I was disappointed. A few days later, I got an email from the firm telling me that my account was being transferred to another representative at the agency. I felt horrible. I thought that I did something to offend the other rep, but shortly after I got a call from her. She told me that she had been really interested in going out with me, so she swapped accounts with a coworker. We went out to dinner, and a year and a half later, she was my wife. I genuinely thought I was the luckiest man on the planet. She was smart, funny, and so beautiful. She was everything a man could want and wife and more. Early on in the relationship, we discussed our past relationships. I told her all about the women that I dated in the past, even some of the casual hookups I had, just to be as transparent as possible. She told me that she had one long-term boyfriend and a couple of situationships aside from that. But she didn't tell me that one of those situationships was a friends with benefits situation with one of her coworkers. Had she told me that, I would have been a little less receptive to it. Looking back, it definitely seems like she was withholding a lot of information about it from me. I had only found out about him when I found out she was cheating on me with him. Everything was normal for the first few years of our relationship. I trusted her with my life, and the idea of her cheating on me never crossed my mind. Both of us worked full-time, and with my business, I was putting in about 80 hours a week. I wished that I had more time to spend with her instead of working, but things with the business were rocky, and I needed to tend to them. There were a lot of nights when I was coming home late in the evening. By the time I got back, my wife would already be asleep in bed. I was gone so much that it was difficult for me to notice the changes happening with her. After several months of working myself to the bone, things finally started calming down with my business, and I was able to take on a more normal schedule. I got my hours down to about 40 to 50 a week, and I was finally able to spend more time with my wife. Unfortunately, I hadn't realized that she was taking on extra projects at work. In my newfound spare time, I wanted to go on dates with her and surprise her with things, but she told me that she couldn't because she had meetings and things to attend in the evening. One day, she didn't tell me in the morning that she had anything scheduled later that evening, so I took it upon myself to schedule a surprise date for us. I figured I would have everything ready to go when she got in, so all she would have to do was change her clothes, and we would head off to a nice restaurant in town. I texted her about halfway through the day and gave her a little hint about what I had planned. She replied about an hour later, telling me that she thought it was a sweet gesture, but she had a surprise meeting that she was going to be in during the dinner reservation. It did strike me as a little strange that she had a surprise meeting. Her business was pretty well managed, and they didn't tend to have a lot of surprises come up. I canceled the reservation and told her that we would do it another time. She got home around 7:00 p.m. and went right to the shower. We both worked in physical offices outside of the house, but we had a spare bedroom that we converted into an office space so we could work from home. The following morning, my wife had a dentist checkup around 10:00, so she spent the first 2 hours of work in the office. When she left for the dentist, she didn't turn her computer off. I hadn't even noticed until I heard chiming coming from her desktop. It didn't bother me at first, but it started to draw my attention away from my work, so I decided to turn off her computer. I saw the messages popping up on the corner of the screen from a Slack channel. There were also messages from a coworker, who I'll call Terry, about last night. I assumed it was the meeting that they were talking about right away, but a few messages in, I realized he was talking about something else. It seemed like my wife lied to me about the meeting and was really spending time with Terry. That immediately caught my attention, and I looked through their messages in the Slack channel to see what was going on. It was pretty clear that they were having an affair, and they were using the meetings as an excuse to be together. They were coworkers, so a lot of their messages were about work, but there was a switch in the messages where everything became very suggestive. They weren't being overtly sexual, but they were sending a lot of winky emojis and things like that. I looked Terry up online, and I found him pretty easily. He was giving the facade of being a perfect American family man. He had a wife and 2 kids, a great job, and a beautiful home. On top of that, he was cheating on his family with my wife. I did as much digging on the Slack channel as I could, then I checked her email. There, I saw exchanges that were a lot more graphic with pictures and videos of the 2 of them together. I was completely shocked by what I saw, even more so when I realized that my wife was the one who initiated everything. She sent him an email where she suggested that they get together again. She heard him talking to another coworker about an argument he was having with his wife, and she jumped on the opportunity to turn his head. She told him that she was feeling neglected in her relationship, and she needed to have that physical connection with someone. He was all for it. Through the beginning exchanges, I learned all about their past and how they had an FB situation going on before my wife met me. I compared the timeline that I put together from their messages to Terry's relationship with his wife and figured out that he was cheating on his wife with mine the entire time they'd been together. I felt sick to my stomach. I thought I knew my wife, but it was clear that I didn't. I was disgusted knowing that she would sleep with a married man to begin with, then cheat on me with him again years later. There was no way that I was going to be able to stay with her after what I found. I was going to divorce her, and I was going to make her regret every decision that she made. But before doing that, I wanted to get back at her. Her office was having an annual party to celebrate the company's anniversary in a few weeks. It was something they did every year, and spouses were invited to attend. They had a small award ceremony to offer a meaningless trophy and a small bonus to certain employees who had gone above and beyond. I knew that my wife was going to be getting one of those. She had been instrumental in landing a major client for the company, and she was going to be rewarded for that. However, I knew that she was sleeping with another employee in the office after hours, so I didn't think they would want to reward her for that. I played everything cool and pretended like I didn't know it was happening while we waited for the party. She tried to tell me that I didn't need to go when it got closer to the time, but I insisted on going to support her. I think it was clear that she didn't want me to be around Terry. The day finally came, and I was ready for what I was going to do. I knew a lot of her coworkers, and I mingled with them during the first part of the party. When the awards part came, I stood there and clapped just as everyone else did. My wife stood up and thanked their boss for giving her the award that he did. Once that was all over, I motioned to give a toast to everyone. Everybody knew that my wife won an award, so they probably thought I was going to give some mushy speech about how proud I was of her. Instead, I congratulated my wife on the award and told her that it would probably be the last one she got from the company. Then I added the affair she was having with Terry and told everybody in the room that I had evidence and pictures of her in the office with him. There was a ruckus around me as I elaborated on what happened. Terry's wife was practically begging him to tell her that it wasn't true. He was just as shocked as my wife was, I told her. The security guards at the office actually ended up escorting me out of the building. My wife wasn't far behind me because she stormed out to confront me about what I did. She told me that I humiliated her in front of everyone she worked with and that she was done with me because of it. I just laughed at her and told her that I had pretty much just ended things with her, so it didn't matter if she was done with me. Terry and his wife ran out after, and his wife came to me and asked me to clarify what I was talking about. I told her everything I knew, and she slapped Terry on the face and went off. After that, I knew that the rumor about their affair was going to spread to the office like wildfire. With so many people talking, they would have to go to HR about it and have some kind of conversation. On top of that, I emailed her boss all of the evidence that I had. During the divorce hearings, I found out that my wife lost her job because I told her boss about the affair. I only found out about that because she was trying to get alimony from me because of it. My divorce attorney made sure that didn't happen, though. I ended up keeping everything in the end, and I sold the house to move into a smaller place since it was just me. I'd just been focusing on my business and trying to make sure that it is thriving before doing anything else. I've been a little hesitant to try getting back out there with dating again because I feel completely betrayed by what my wife did. Though, I'm hoping sometime in the future, I'll be ready for it. OP, if she was feeling neglected, she should have gone to you and voiced that and figured out a way to work through it. It seems like you were very excited to be over that hump in your business to spend time with her. It's clear that you loved her and you would have done what you had to make her happy. It definitely seems like that was just an excuse to be with Terry. It's good that you called them both out for what they did, especially considering that Terry was cheating on his wife when they were initially together before you met your wife. He seems like a pretty sleazy guy, and it's good that they're not together. Now let's get into our next story for today. I, 26 male, met my girlfriend, 24 female, through a dating app 3 years ago. We were only supposed to meet up as a quick hookup, but we found that we were very compatible with each other. We started casually seeing each other, and over time, the relationship changed. We started getting to know more about each other, and we ended up becoming official. When we started dating, we went out every weekend. We had a ton of friends, and we would go out drinking with them, and we were involved in a ton of drama. It was just normal, young, fun stuff. About a year ago, I was going through some things with my mental health. As a result, I have a hard time being around a lot of people. I went from being the extroverted life of the party to being extremely reserved and anxious. I never wanted to impose any of my mental health issues on my girlfriend. I didn't think it was fair to her. So, if she still wanted to go out with her friends and have a good time, I encouraged her to do it. I was fine staying back and hearing all about it when she returned. After a few months, my girlfriend started to behave differently toward me. I was already having a lot of issues, but I started to feel like I was a burden on her. I knew that she wanted somebody who could go on adventures and do exciting things, but that wasn't something that I had in me at the time. I was already feeling very vulnerable about everything, so the way she was behaving toward me made it all the worse. She was very cold and distant, and whenever I would bring up something, it seemed like she was completely disinterested in it. I would start talking about work or how a counseling session went, and she would pull up her phone and start scrolling on social media. It made me feel like I was invisible. Around that time, she started going out more often. Before I was going through what I was going through, we went out every weekend. Afterwards, she would stay home with me on Friday nights and go out on the occasional Saturday. Suddenly, she started disregarding me entirely and going out on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. I tried to talk to her about it, but she reframed the entire situation to make it seem like I was the bad guy for wanting to spend time with her. The sad thing is, at the time I thought that was the case. I genuinely believed that I was being way too clingy and I was only damaging the relationship. So, I shut my mouth after that. I never would have assumed that she would cheat on me, though. I thought we loved each other, and I understood that she wasn't ready to give up a big part of her youth for me. When my girlfriend goes out to the club, she gets all dressed up for it. She wears a nice outfit and a full face of makeup, and steals the show wherever she goes. One important thing to note is that my girlfriend is very diligent with her skincare, and wearing makeup any longer than she needs to is an absolute no-go. There have been times when we have been nearly blackout drunk, and she has made sure to wash her face before going to sleep. One weekend, one of my good friends was throwing a bachelor party. It was just going to be a bunch of us renting a cabin and spending some time hunting and fishing. It had been quite some time since I'd seen all of my friends together, so I decided to go. While I was away, my girlfriend did what she did every weekend. She and her friends got together and they went out. I didn't talk to her much over the weekend aside from checking in now and then telling her that I missed her. When I got home the following Sunday, I was worn out from the trip. I was around a lot of people and I was exhausted. I went right to the bed and plopped down to try and get some rest. I noticed that on her pillow there were a lot of makeup stains. First of all, she wouldn't sleep in makeup normally. Second of all, she had an expensive silk pillowcase that she was very careful with. I couldn't think of the reason why there would be makeup stains on it. The closer I looked at it, I could see that it looked like there was smudged lip gloss and things like that. The more I looked at it, I was able to paint a picture in my head about what happened. It raised some flags for me thinking that it might have been something sex-related. Without getting into too much detail, I knew how she was in the bedroom, so it wasn't completely unfounded to think that was why there were makeup stains on the pillow. I didn't even want to think about her cheating on me. Unfortunately, I couldn't think of a better reason for the stains. However, it was not something that I could confront her about. I just thought that I needed to keep an eye on things to see if I caught any more signs. Her behavior continued, and suddenly my eyes were completely open to why she might have been as distant as she was. I knew that was a telltale sign of somebody having an affair, and I had been too blind and distracted to notice it. I started looking through her Instagram accounts, and I noticed that she was following a lot of people that I didn't know. Most of them were guys too. I clicked on some of their profiles and saw that they were the types of guys that my girlfriend would normally go for. They went out often, and a couple of them even went to the club that my girlfriend frequented and had pictures tagged there. It was entirely possible that my girlfriend ran into some of these guys at the club and exchanged information. At the first chance that I had, I took a quick peek at her phone to see if I could confirm my suspicions. Unfortunately, I did. There was ample evidence that she had been hooking up with several different guys that she met at nightclubs. I saw that one of them invited him to our apartment when I was going away for the bachelor party. She told him that they would have the entire place to themselves, and they went into explicit details about all the things they were going to do. They even exchanged pictures. In some of the messages with the different guys, I saw her telling them that she had a boyfriend. She told some of them after she slept with them. One of them was angry that she lied to him. However, most of the other guys didn't seem to care. One of them asked about why she was cheating, and she told him that she didn't think we were compatible anymore, but she was too afraid to break up with me because I had issues. I just found out she cheated on me, so that was bad enough, but hearing her reasoning behind it stung. I knew that what I was going through wasn't easy for her, but for her to use it as an excuse to cheat on me was cruel. One of our friends was having a birthday party at a local karaoke room, and I thought that a microphone and a spotlight would be the perfect time to tell everybody about my girlfriend. I RSVP'd, which I'm sure surprised a lot of people in our friend group. The day of the party finally came, and I signed up to perform a song toward the beginning of the party. When I got up there, instead of singing along to my song, I grabbed the mic and broke up with my girlfriend. She was shocked, but I think she was offended more than anything. She laughed at me and told me to get off the stage. I explained to everybody else in the room what I discovered and how she was only staying with me because of my issues. I could see the demeanor of a lot of the people in the room shifting when I said that. I think because of what I was going through, they had a lot of sympathy for me. I wasn't looking for that, but if it made them look at her like some big villain, then it was fine. My girlfriend ran up on the stage and started causing a scene in front of everybody, and eventually, one of our friends got in the middle of us and took the mic. They brought me off the stage and took me off to the side to talk. My girlfriend came in and interrupted us. She was embarrassed about everything that I had just done. She said that everybody in the room was looking at her like she was a monster, and that I had no right to go through her belongings. I just told her that she had been lying to me and cheating on me, and I didn't care. She explained that she was cheating on me because I wasn't the person she agreed to be with. I changed so much, and she didn't want to be with me in the state that I was in. She said that she was nervous about breaking up with me because I seemed to be so fragile, so instead she decided to cheat on me. The thing is, I can understand where she was coming from a little bit. However, she was so careless with her affair that it would have been impossible for me to ignore it forever. She didn't think through what she was doing. She was trying to frame it like she cheated on me to protect me, but I don't think that was the case. I told her that I would be moving out of the apartment, and I didn't give her any chance to try and talk to me about that. I got my stuff out of there the next day and stayed with a friend of mine until I found another place to live. That friend told me that pretty much everybody had been avoiding her because of what she did. They all thought she was awful and manipulative. People were calling her a narcissist, and I think it opened the floodgates for everybody who didn't like her to voice their own opinions about her. That was several years ago. I'm much happier now, and I'm glad that ended. If it hadn't, I thought I was going to marry her, and the entire situation would have been so much worse. I'm with a fantastic girl now, and I'm able to trust her. It took some time to get there, but I think I found the right person now. OP, first of all, I really hope you are doing better now with your relationships alongside your mental health. I'm not sure exactly what you were going through, but but it seemed to have taken quite a toll on your social life and relationship with your girlfriend. It's honestly disgraceful that she would try and pretend like cheating on you with the only option that she had. It definitely was not. Like you said, she was not even doing anything to hide her affairs, so you were bound to find out anyway. I guarantee you she didn't think about how you would react if you found out she was cheating on you. She didn't care about your mental health, she was just selfish. It's good that your friends have all come to realize who she really is. She showed her true colors when she cheated and then made up the excuses that she did. I don't think this post described her well enough to label her as a narcissist, but if all of her friends are calling her that, it's good that you got away. Thank you all for taking the time to listen to today's stories. If you enjoyed listening, please feel free to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, comment below with your thoughts on what happened. If there is a story you would like to share with me about your own situation or someone else's, then please do not hesitate to contact me. Take care.